This is the Strong is a Mindset podcast, episode number 126. You ready for the holidays? Here are some thoughts about how to eat, move, and think through the season. This is the Strong is a Mindset podcast, where you'll learn how to build both a strong body and a strong mind by eating, moving, and thinking. I'm your host, physician, personal trainer, certified health coach, and certified life coach, Carrie Holland. Hey, how are you? What's new? What's good? So, what's good here? We are headed into the holiday season. That is what's good here. And while this can certainly be a fun time of year, I also know that it can be a stressful time of year for many reasons. And every year it comes up for my clients. They get either concerned or they get nervous about how their holidays are going to go. And maybe that's you too. Maybe you're zoned in on eating better, incorporating exercise into your life, or drinking less alcohol, or establishing better habits in general. And the holidays are a potential obstacle to all of those. Many of you might be traveling. You might be staying with relatives. You may be out of your usual routine. And it's the combination of those factors that may lead you to come out of the holiday season feeling like you need a reset. And I cannot tell you how many times a client has told me that she needs a reset after the holidays, after all the turkey is eaten, after all the holiday cookies and candy are gone, and the bottles of champagne are empty. She feels that she needs a reset or a detox. But my goal today is to give you some ideas that are more preventive in nature. I don't want you to arrive at January 1 feeling like you blew it. I don't want you to flip the calendar and feel like what you did between Thanksgiving and New Year's warrants a detox, okay? I want to help save you that regret and instead help you walk into the holiday season feeling ready and prepared with a plan. So, to make it crystal clear, you do not need to end the holidays feeling gross, okay? You don't have to scrape by to the new year and feel like you have to start all over again. No. Instead, I want to help you right now as we are headed into the holidays next week. I want to help you feel ready. I want you to be prepared. And so here it is. Here are my tips for eating, moving, and thinking over the holidays. Okay? I want to give you some ideas, including some unconventional approaches that will help you manage the holiday season so that you maintain your wellness and get to the new year feeling proud of how you managed yourself during the holidays. All right? So let's go. So first, let's talk about eating. Because for many of you, food is a big part of the holidays, and you may be walking into multiple work and family gatherings, and you'll be exposed to all kinds of food and drinks that only come out around this time of year, and they are out in abundance. So what do? So first, please have a plan. Okay, so I know I talk about having a plan any chance I can get here, and this is most definitely an important time to talk about it again. So hear me out. If you go into your holiday gatherings or your holiday parties with the thought, I'm just going to be mindful, or I'm just going to make good choices, please, please, please do yourself a favor and do more than that. I have said it many, many times in the past, but when you tell me I'll just be mindful or I'll just make good choices, to me, that is code for either I don't want to think about it or I don't want to commit to anything in case the desserts look really, really good and I want to eat a slice of all 5 of the pies on the dessert table. So again, stretch yourself, challenge yourself, and decide in advance what you are going to do. Even if you are away, even if you're at an in-law's house, I don't care where you are or who you are with, you can still make some decisions ahead of time. Really, you can decide that you're going to have your usual breakfast and lunch, but they're going to be a little smaller because you know you're going to be eating pie later. You can decide that you're going to have lean protein and veggies for lunch before you arrive to the holiday dinner so that you don't arrive hangry and ready to eat anything and everything in front of you. You can decide that all of the extras at your holiday party, drinks, appetizers, bread, and dessert, you can decide that you're going to have 1 or 2 of those extras at most, but you're not going to have all 4 because you know that's going to be the equivalent of a second dinner. You can decide that you're bringing a salad to the family potluck and you'll fill at least half of your plate with that salad. You can also decide that you'll peruse the buffet and be choosy about what you put on your plate instead of taking a little of everything, meaning you are not beholden to the green bean casserole if you hate cream of mushroom soup. You do not have to eat it just because it's out, okay? You can also decide that you're going to have 1 plateful of food at dinner, and that's the end of it. You can decide that you're not going back up for seconds because you know from years past that it never ends well, and that's when you need to unbutton the top button of your pants, okay? So do you see where I'm going here? I just gave you a number of different decisions that you can make today, right now, in advance of you showing up for any holiday party. These decisions make up your plan. You do not need to walk in blind. Even if you have no idea of what you're walking into, you can still be prepared with a plan. I cannot tell you how many times a client has told me, well, I have no idea what's going to be at this party or what's going to be served, so I can't really plan. No, that is not the approach you want to take when you're heading into the season of nonstop holiday parties. So I encourage you to be proactive and make some decisions in advance. So my own approach when we get together with family, I will eat a normal breakfast, which as of late means an Ezekiel English muffin, cottage cheese, and maybe a spoonful of peanut butter. I will eat a smaller version of my usual lunch, which is egg whites, steamed veggies, and toast. And then when it comes to the party itself, I take stock. There are almost always appetizers like veggies, dip, cheese, crackers, and chips. And I decide ahead of time, I don't eat them. I just don't bother because I know I'm going to be eating dinner soon enough and I don't need the extra food. So instead, I drink a bubble water and hang out with my family. Even if we're sitting in the kitchen, I don't eat it. Now, if I am hungry, I'll eat some of the veggies, but I don't load up with cheese or chips or crackers. And that's the decision I make in advance. And when I get to our family gathering, I practice following it. And really all I'm doing is being choosy with the food that I eat. I know that at holiday parties, the main dishes and desserts are not what I usually eat. I know those foods are going to be more rich, more indulgent, and more calorically dense than what I typically have. But I plan for that. Of everything that's available at the holidays, I choose to indulge on those things like the turkey or the cranberry sauce or the sweet potatoes and definitely pie. I would rather indulge on those parts of the meal than indulge on cheese and crackers. And while I do indulge in the main dish and dessert, I still make sure to load up half my dinner plate with a salad to go with my turkey and potatoes. And I share all of this to say, I most definitely do treat myself at the holidays and I enjoy the food, but I plan for it and I don't make it a food blowout. I know what my approach is. I make those decisions before I get to the party, and then I just practice following through because I don't want to wake up on the day after Thanksgiving feeling gross. So I work it backwards and know what decisions I need to make in order to feel good, and I follow those. And it all comes back to this: have a plan, okay? So what else can you do besides have a plan when it comes to eating around the holidays? Well, here are some other things that come up commonly that I want you to consider. So first and foremost, let's talk about food pushers. Now, hopefully you're not going to come up against this, but I know for a number of the women I work with, this is a problem, especially around the holidays. So I want to face it head on here. So you may be seeing people at the holidays that you don't see often. You may be seeing people that you only see once a year. Those people may have opinions about food around the holidays. So you may have an aunt who makes a sweet potato casserole that comes out exactly once a year, and she insists that everyone have some. And she may ask why you're not choosing to have any. You may have in-laws who pride themselves on their cooking, and if you don't eat all of it, you may be subject to questions. So that's one type of food pusher you may run into. So I think of this person as one who prides him or herself on their cooking, and perhaps this person shows their love through food, and they truly want you to enjoy whatever holiday food it is that they've made. And then there's another type of food pusher. This food pusher is often on their own fitness journey, and they may not be in the same place you are. And what commonly happens is when other people see you make health-conscious decisions, that often causes them to think about their own food decisions. So these people may see you making choices to skip the bread basket or skip the drinks, and that might cause them to look at their own habits, and they may not like what they see. And those same people may encourage or even pressure you to eat in the same way they are. It's not necessarily a competition, but instead it's more like a misery loves company type of thing. Your friend or family member may encourage you to overeat or indulge along with them so they aren't going it alone. It's easier to justify and feel okay about overindulging when someone else is doing it with you, right? So there may be that person at your party who's trying really hard to get you to overeat as they are, so they're not overeating alone. And either way, it really doesn't matter. No matter how this plays out, no matter how the food pushing arises, I would simply remind you that you always have a choice, okay? Remember, you're a human with free will, and you always have a choice. You are not obligated to eat your grandma's famous pumpkin roll if you don't want to. You do not have to have a round of drinks before dinner just because everyone else is doing it. You do not have to get back up to the buffet with your cousin just because she's asking you to come get seconds with her, okay? Give yourself permission to say no and prioritize yourself at the holidays. Give yourself permission to do something different this year. And there are a few ways to approach this, but I would encourage you to be firm and simply say, no, thank you. You do not owe an explanation. You do not need to tell your Aunt Susie, who you see once a year, that you're trying really hard to eat better and won't be eating her mashed potatoes this year. You don't have to explain yourself. A simple no thank you is enough. And if you are pressed for an explanation, you can add that you're full and you're all set. Now, if you want to share that you're working on different eating habits, by all means, go ahead and do that. But again, that is entirely your choice, and you do not owe anyone anything. No thank you is more than enough. And I will also add here, one thing my clients have shared with me that they've done is that if they're getting pressured to eat something, sometimes they will just take the food or the drink to stop the person from pushing. But then they toss the food or dump the drink without having any. So yes, that is another option if you want it, but I would simply ensure for yourself that by taking it, you're not caving in and ending up eating or drinking whatever it is that you didn't want in the first place. So this one is a little more risky, but I've definitely had clients who have done it and have done it successfully. Okay, and so while I just scratched the surface of wasting food, let's go there and talk about it. So just as you can give yourself permission to say no to food pushers, you can also give yourself permission to not clean your plate. You can throw away food if you don't want to finish it. You do not have to clean your plate at the holidays. You do not need to finish the piece of pie that is as big as your face that your Aunt Susie cut for you. If you took a scoop of cranberry sauce and you didn't love it, you don't have to eat it just because it's sitting on your plate. If you took too much turkey and you feel satisfied, but there's still a few bites left on your plate, remember, it is okay to throw it away. And I hear you. If you've been part of the Clean Plate Club for as long as you can remember, this will take some unlearning. But the holidays are a great place to start unlearning this, especially when you're faced with buffets, all kinds of dishes, some of which may be new. That's okay. Toss the food out. And if you hate wasting food, I'm with you. But please remember this. It's a waste either way. If you throw the food away in the trash can, it is a waste. But at the same time, if you eat food just because it's on your plate, even though you're not hungry, or even if you don't like it, that is also a waste. The difference here is that when you eat the food, that waste is going to end up on your body stored as fat. But when you toss it in the trash, it does not end up on your body. Okay? And I'm not promoting that we should waste food, but I want you to see the concept of food waste a little differently. Do you want to carry those extra bites of mashed potatoes on your person in the form of fat, or would you rather just toss those extra bites in the trash? Okay? It is waste either way you spin it. And then one last thing I'm going to add here is leftovers. So generally, with holiday gatherings, there is no shortage of food whatsoever. There is often plenty to go around a few times over, and what that usually leads to is leftovers. So again, think this through and decide, do you want to have leftovers in your house? Do you really want them? And again, if you're going to take leftovers, or if you're hosting and you're going to keep the leftovers, have a plan. What are you planning to keep? Are you going to keep the sweet potato casserole that is more like a dessert, knowing that you are the only one in the house who will eat it, and you know you'll end up eating it every day, even though it's not part of your plan? Do you keep the pumpkin pie and keep cutting small slices for yourself every day, and then go back and even it out just because that slice was a little crooked? Do you keep the pecan pie and keep picking at it just a little bit every time you go into the refrigerator? Is that what you are deciding? Or do you decline when your mother tries to send you home with a to-go container full of a repeat of your holiday dinner? If you're hosting, do you make to-go bags and give them to everyone else so that the food doesn't end up staying in your house? What are you going to do? And I bring this up because the food doesn't necessarily go away after the holiday itself. The leftovers can go on for days, and I want you to be ready for that. Decide what you want to do with those leftovers. Decide if it's worth keeping them, or do you give them away, or just not take them home with you? And again, I would encourage you to think about this ahead of time so you're not caught off guard when your grandma surprises you with a take-home container full of leftover turkey and stuffing and pie. All right, and then one last thing I want to say about eating before we move on. I want to put this out there. So, while yes, the holidays can be very much food-centered, remember that it is not all about the food, okay? It's not all about the food. And now, while I just said that, I also want to make something else clear. I will be the first to admit that food is more than fuel. I've said it many times. I will continue to say it. Food is more than fuel. I totally get that. Food is family, it's tradition, it's culture, it's community, and that is often showcased, especially during the holidays when all of the special family recipes come out. So yes, please enjoy your food, all right? But that being said, I want to encourage you to consider what place of importance food has for you over the holidays, okay? When you get overly focused on the food, or when food is your sole source of enjoyment, or if there is not enough pleasure in your life otherwise, that is often when you look to food to fill that void. And that's when it can become a problem. That's when food gets put on a pedestal it does not deserve to have, okay? And here's the takeaway. There is a big difference between using food as a source of pleasure versus having an experience that brings you pleasure and is complemented by your food. Do you see that? That's a big difference. When you rely on food alone to be your source of pleasure, that's where you can run the risk of overeating. And if you rely on food to be the one source of joy over the holidays, we need to talk about that, okay? We need to work on finding other sources of joy in your life so that it is not solely focused on the food. So instead of focusing on the food, and instead of having food be the focal point of your holiday gathering, challenge yourself to see it differently. Where else do you find joy in the holidays in addition to the food? Is it the experience of getting together with loads of people? Is it the colors and the decorations and the sights and sounds and music and candles and fireplaces burning? Is it the time away from work and your daily routine? What else is it that brings you joy in the holidays besides the food? And all we're doing here is putting food back in its place, okay? We're taking food down from its high, holy place and getting real with ourselves to see that it is more than just the food. Holidays are more than food, okay? Next, so now let's switch gears and talk also about moving during the holidays. So if you're traveling, or if you're not in your usual environment, or if you're not in your same schedule or routine, that's okay. You can still fit in exercise if you want to. And here's how you can do this. So I'm going to keep it very simple. Please remember that when it comes to exercise, especially during the holidays, it all counts, okay? It all counts. So if you're used to heading out to Orange Theory and killing it at 5 a.m. before anyone else in your house is awake, and now you're at your 90-year-old grandma's house in the middle of nowhere without an Orange Theory for miles, you're going to have to adjust. And even if you end up doing a body weight workout in your grandma's basement, when normally you would be killing it at Orange Theory, that's it. That's what you do. And it still counts, okay? Because something is better than nothing. So remember what we know about habit. There are two pieces to a habit, especially when we're talking about exercise. There's the habit of exercise, of actually doing the workout, but then there's also the habit of the habit. And that's all of the things that come in order to execute the habit. So things like picking out your workout, changing into your gear, going to the gym or your workout space, choosing your music, having your workout drink. It's all of the other actions that result in you being able to get the workout done. And both the habit itself and the habit of the habit are equally important for keeping a habit alive. So even if you're not doing exactly the same workout or same routine, or even if you're not working out at the same time you normally would, you're still sending a message to your brain that is reinforcing the habit. When you exercise anyway, even if it's not exactly the same, it still tells your brain, I am someone who gets her workout done. And that is an important message to be sending your brain if you want to establish and lock in the habit of exercise. And so to set yourself up for success, here are a couple of things to consider. So first, decide if you are in fact going to exercise while you're on holiday. Make that decision in advance and decide if it is important enough for you to keep up with exercise over the holidays. I've said this before and it bears repeating, but it is just as empowering to decide that exercise is a priority as it is to decide that it is not a priority. And this is especially true over the holidays. But I encourage you to make a proactive, empowered choice about it. I would caution you from deciding, I'll just see what happens, okay? Don't leave it to chance. Don't just see what happens. Make a decision one way or the other. Maybe you've been going hard at your exercise for weeks and this is the right time to take a few days off. So you make that decision. Or maybe you decide that you want to keep up your rhythm and it's important for you to continue exercising even while you're away. And if you make that decision, the next thing to do is decide how you're going to get it done. And that means have a plan. Are you going to exercise first thing in the morning before you do anything else? Are you going to exercise in the afternoon? What are you going to do? What gear do you need to have? How much time do you need? How much space do you need? What needs to happen in order for you to get your exercise done during your holiday? And I would encourage you to make those decisions and think out exactly what you're going to do, when, what you'll need, and have it all ready. So for me, I will always bring running shoes and outdoor gear so that I can go for a run. And you can do the same. You can bring whatever you need to get yourself outside. And no, you do not have to run, okay? You can go for a walk. Just get outside. Move your legs. A walk counts, okay? It all counts as exercise. But have what you need ready so that you can get outside if you want to. And here's something else I want to address that comes up often around exercise at the holidays, and that is this. Many of you have told me that you don't want your exercise to be an inconvenience. You don't want your exercise to get in the way or be a problem. And sometimes you let that be a reason to not do your exercise. You don't want to offend, you don't want to get in the way, you don't want to hold anyone up. And again, This is where you get to decide what your actions mean, okay? You get to decide that taking 30 minutes in the morning while everyone else is still in their PJs and you take that time to go for a walk or jog or do an online strength training routine, you decide for yourself that it's okay. And you prove to yourself and anyone around you that it's not a big deal because you don't make it into a big deal, okay? Or if it's the end of the day and everyone is sitting around the TV, but you really want to go for a walk, you go. And so here's the thing. It will only be a big deal if you make it a big deal. You don't have to make a big deal about you getting exercise in. If you want to do it, please do it. Don't apologize for it. Don't make a big to-do about it and just go and get it done, all right? Give yourself permission to get your exercise in even while you're away. You can do it thoughtfully and you can do it in such a way that it's not a production and you can still participate in all of the family holiday stuff. And then it is up to whoever you're with to decide what they make it mean. It is not up to you to decide that they will think you're an inconvenience. Please do not decide for other people what your actions mean. You can only decide for yourself what your actions mean to you. You cannot control how other people will interpret your decision to exercise over the holidays. And this is why I say this all the time, and it especially applies here. Make sure you like your reasons. Like your reasons for prioritizing exercise, and this will be a lot easier to do, okay? When you choose to exercise over the holiday and you're making that choice because you want to feel good and keep your habit in place, that is very, very different from obsessing about it and creating a story in your head that you must exercise or else you'll gain 5 pounds and lose all the progress you've made and you'll backtrack and be a mess and all hell's going to break loose. No, that's very different. One is coming from a place of self-kindness. The other is coming from a place of self-judgment and fear. So get really clear for yourself about why exercise is important for you to continue over the holiday and be confident in that. You cannot control what other people think about your choices about eating and moving over the holidays. So whether it's that you say no to the pumpkin pie or you do a workout while everyone is playing a game, that's your choice, and there will be opinions about it. But honestly, that really doesn't matter. I know I say it all the time, but it's because I think it needs to be repeated. People are going to have opinions about your choices, whether you make a choice to take care of yourself or not. So let people have their opinions about your choices because they're going to anyway. And remember, what truly matters here is what you think about yourself. And so that's why I get very focused on you liking your reasons for taking the actions you take. When you have done your work and you're making your choices about eating and moving from a clean place, that's what I mean when you like your reasons, then it's easier to have your own back and be kind to yourself if and when there are negative opinions about your choices. Because you can't control those opinions. You cannot control other people's thoughts. You can only control your own. So decide for yourself if exercise is something you want to incorporate into your holiday, have a plan for it, and do it. And do not waste a minute of time playing mental mind games, worrying about what everyone else is thinking about your choice. Okay? All right. And I know I've already started talking about it, but I want to make sure to address how you will manage your thinking over the holidays too. So let's talk about how you're going to think and how you will support yourself through the holidays. So here is something I want you to remember, and you can practice reminding yourself of this if you need to. In the US, there are 34 days between Thanksgiving and New Year's this year. 34 days. So if you do the math, that's 9.3% of your year. Okay? 9%. And you can choose to think about that 9.3% in a few different ways. You can decide for yourself, hey, it's 34 days, it's no big deal. Whatever happens, happens. And you can let the holiday season go however it does and eat whatever and leave exercise to chance and try to pick up come January 1. That is certainly one way that you could approach those 34 days. Or you could decide, okay, that's 9% of my year. What can I do with that? How can I practice enjoying the fun foods that come out at the holidays, but still stay on track with my health and fitness? How can I work in exercise even while this time is busy? How can I get to January 1 feeling good about what I did over the holidays instead of feeling like I need a detox? How will this year be different? So really, how you approach the next 34 days, it's your call. You can let those 34 days ride on chance, or you can walk into the holidays with a plan and confidence that you know how you're going to manage yourself during a time when travel, food, and treats are all in abundance. And I would also add that you can get quite a bit done in 9% of your year from a diet, exercise, and wellness perspective. That is not an insignificant amount of time. And with a plan and consistency, you can accomplish a lot during those 34 days. You can lose weight. Or if you don't want to lose weight over the holidays, you can decide that you can maintain your current weight and not gain. You can decide how much and how often you will exercise and create a plan for that and get it done. 34 days is enough time to make significant progress in either direction towards your fitness goals. And here's what I would offer. If your approach to the holidays in the past has been to declare, well, it's the holidays, all bets are off, let's talk about that. And I encourage you to dive in and dissect that and ask if that's really the approach you want to take for the last 9% of your year. Because remember, what comes out of your mouth comes into your life. So if you decide that all bets are off and anything goes, then that is the reality you're going to create. And if that's the reality you create for yourself, you're likely going to feel less than awesome by January 1. So what if you decided something else? What if you decided that you can finish the holidays proud of the decisions you made? What if you decided that you do not have to eat every piece of pie that lands in front of you? What if you decided that you do not have to clean your plate just because that's what you've always done? What if you decided that you don't have to go up for a second helping, even though you usually do? What if you decided that you don't need a refrigerator full of leftovers this year? Imagine what the outcome of those decisions would be. Imagine what you would feel like on January 1 if that's the approach you took. And I bring this up because those decisions and those outcomes are all available to you, okay? Your holidays do not have to be a food bender this year just because that's what you've always done. Your holidays do not have to be a swirl of pie, stuffing, cookies, leftovers, wine, champagne, and chocolate that leaves you feeling overstuffed and overindulged come New Year's. But in order for you to write a different ending to your holidays, you have a decision to make. Decide how you want the holidays to go, and then make that your reality. Prove yourself correct. Decide to make an empowered choice to eat mindfully by having a real plan to follow and make time for exercise where it makes sense. Decide to give yourself days off from exercise if you need to. Decide when and how you are going to treat yourself and what that's going to look like. Decide that you will have a plan and you will practice following through on it. Make that decision now. Okay? And then last, I want to offer you 2 bonus ideas to consider. So these are 2 concepts you may want to add to your toolbox as you navigate the holidays. So first is the one more rule. And all that means is that you look for the places where you can add in one more. So maybe that's one more rep at the gym, one more minute on your walk or run, one more glass of water, one more serving of vegetables instead of another piece of bread, one more page in your book instead of turning on your phone. And I think you get the idea here. Where can you add in one more action that at first go may not seem like much, but over the course of the holidays can really add up to forward momentum towards your goals? And we're not talking fancy here either. Find the smallest things where you can do one more and do them. It's adding coins to your bank. And those coins all add up to feeling really good about yourself come New Year's. Okay? And then the last bonus tool to consider is a concept called No 0 Days. And No 0 Days is just as it sounds. It means that you commit to do something every day for your health and fitness. Again, it does not matter how small it is, but the idea here is that you do something every day. I don't care what it is. It could be a short walk, a yoga pose, 5 minutes of stretching, whatever it is, commit to doing something for yourself every day. And the reason behind this is simple. When you go for No 0 Days, it keeps your habit alive. It reminds your brain, my health matters to me. I don't go offline. I don't go off the rails, even though it's the holidays. Something is better than nothing. And with that mantra in mind, then you can go and prove yourself correct. No 0 days. And whatever it is that you do, it counts. Okay? It all counts. All right? And if you want help with this, let's go. When you coach with me, I will help you eat, move, and think in a way that gets you closer to your goals, even during the holidays. We set a goal, make a plan, and then you go after it with me supporting you along the way. So check out my website, go to www.carriehollandmd.com/contact, send me a message, and let's get started. All right? Thank you again for hanging out with me, and I'll catch you again next week. Hey, if you're looking for your next great read, I've got you covered. Head over to carriehollandmd.com/books and download my list of most favorite reads. I've got 2 collections waiting for you. One is all about work-life balance. The other is a collection of books that have changed my life. I've referenced many of these books in the podcast, and now you can access those titles all in one place. Again, that's carriehollandmd.com/books. Check it out and find your next great read. Thank you for listening to the Strong is a Mindset podcast. If you want to learn more about how to build both a strong mind and a strong body by eating, moving, and most importantly, thinking, check out carriehollandmd.com.